Lee Conrad wants to know, who is the most genuine wrestler you've ever interviewed?
I would say, Lee Conrad, that there would be a group that would fall into that category because, from my experience, the two most interesting groups of people would be wrestlers and enforcers in the NHL. And I have had interviews with half dozen enforcers in the NHL in the last 3 weeks because they often have a story to tell. They often have an ability to tell the story. They have a humility that stars don't have. And they've always really, they made their living. They made their life from a work ethic and from a commitment to the other people around them. And they tend to be highly intelligent, even though you think he's a fighter, he must be dumb. And wrestlers need so many different levels of intelligence. They got to create these characters, and then they got to create promos off the top of their head. So I think that almost all of them have been really, how did he phrase the question, Conrad?
Said the most authentic.
Yeah, most authentic. Bret Hart was always super authentic with me. Bret Hart's very shy, and it's a weird experience interviewing somebody who has been at Wembley Stadium in front of 75,000 people, grabbed the microphone, and yet you're going, wow, he's shy. So Bret, I really liked. This was years ago, but The Undertaker, Mark Calaway, he gave us one of the only shoot interviews that he's done where he talked out of character. We talked about football beforehand. So I wasn't talking to The Undertaker. I was talking to this guy, Mark Calaway. I would say that, there's some guys that you never get 100% away from the character, like Chris Jericho, who I love, but you're getting like 80% Chris Jericho and 20% whatever character he's playing. Same thing for The Rock. The Rock seemed like a great guy, but never totally out of The Rock says. So I going through a list of guys that I would say that The Undertaker or Mark Calaway would be the most genuine guy. Bret Hart, Owen Hart. I don't know. Are you a wrestling fan?
I'm actually casual. Like, I'm more into wrestling than most other sports.
Right. So Owen Hart was Bret Hart's brother. They just did a documentary. He died one night on a Sunday night pay-per-view, and he fell from the rafters. And I had interviewed him, I don't know, like 3 months before that. And I remember him telling me, I'm not like the rest of these guys. I'm not a lifer. I have other things that I want to do. I'm not attached to this sport. I'm just here doing this because I can make a really good living at it. Mm-hmm. He said, so you will see me doing something else. And it was like, well, how tragic is that?
Wow.
So wrestlers typically, though, are really smart, really interesting, really good.